You've built your character. They've got a backstory, some quirks, and maybe even a solid arc. But for some reason, they're still not coming alive. When I work with writers who feel stuck in that place, it almost always comes down to something deeper. One crucial layer that's hard to spot at first, but once you see it, everything makes sense. And no, it's not just a random flaw, a tragic backstory, or a sad childhood. It's something that influences literally every single choice they make, whether they realize it or not. So stick around because we are going to start with some character exercises, and then by the end of the video, we're gonna chat about this one hidden layer that they all have in common. Maybe you can guess it before we get to the end. If you do, drop a carrot emoji in your comment. Okay, exercise 1 is what do they shove in their bag? If you want to try this exercise, here's how I would prompt you for that. List what they would take if they had to leave in like 5 minutes notice. What do they immediately grab? What do they forget? And what do they actually hesitate over? Think about, first of all, what is the most sentimental thing in there? What does it mean to them? Maybe they have a lip gloss that they don't use, but they still carry it around because the smell reminds them of somebody that's long gone. Then think about what is the weirdest or most telling item that reveals something about them. If you want to go dark with this and you are writing a thriller, maybe from the villain's perspective, then potentially they might be carrying around little mementos of their victims. And lastly, what would be an item that would hint at like a secret or an obsession? Maybe it's a secret engagement ring, or maybe it's a letter that their house is getting repossessed and they haven't shared it with their family yet. Maybe it's a hidden obsession or an addiction like cigarettes or an alcohol flask, which is really just a coping mechanism for something they prefer not to think about. You can also do this for other everyday life storage that your character might have. So think about what is always in their pockets, in their glove box, or even in their nightstand. So these little props can then become symbols for their secrets and their struggles without you actually having to tell your readers what that is, but actually just show it through what your character possesses and what they care about. Okay, the second exercise is a memory that they've rewritten. So if you want to try this one for yourself, here is the prompt. Choose a moment in their life that they tell one way, but they experienced it in another. And then write both versions down. So the one that they say aloud when anybody asks them about it, and the one that they remember when they can't sleep. So think about what kind of moment this had to be that it made them literally rewrite the script in their heads. Was it a really bad moment that haunts them and they're just trying to forget it? So when they are forced to talk about it, they might just leave out the details that actually tell us how bad it was. Or was it actually a happy, really good moment that they try to paint as ordinary because it just hurts too much to think about it right now? So they try to minimize the impact and convince themselves that, it was never actually that good. Right, let's move on to the third exercise, which is all about putting them in the wrong story, and I'm really excited about this one. So here's the prompt that I have for you, and it is very simple. The clue is in the name. Drop them into a world where they do not belong. So this could be a courtroom, a therapist office, the middle of a war zone, the middle of the jungle. It could be a wedding, it could be an ER in the hospital. So start drafting this by thinking about what they say right off the bat. Like, what is their gut reaction? Do they immediately blend in and just kind of know exactly what to do? Or do they fumble and knock things over and draw attention to themselves? Apart from their initial gut reaction, think about how they actually settle into this new world. What kind of identity do you think that they would assume in this new position where, nobody actually knows them? Who do they pretend to be? This exercise is obviously going to work best if the situation that you drop them into is like vastly different from their day-to-day life or something that they would usually be privy to. And one last little thing that I want you to think about in this one is the key piece that can actually reveal a lot of your character to you. So what are the things that actually follow them from the real world that they just can't shake? And I do mean this internally, just for clarification. They can make a choice to be that new version of themselves, but what is that personality trait or that thought that just keeps coming back in from their old life that they can't shake, no matter how much they try and no matter how much they pretend? And how does that keep holding them back from actually fully experiencing this new version of themselves? Okay, time for the fourth exercise. What do they ruin by trying to fix it? Write about a time that your character was trying to do the right thing but made it worse. What belief made them act? Do you know whether they were trying to do the thing that's objectively right, or is it only right to them? It could be their personal disillusion that there was something to fix, but the other character didn't actually need your hero's help at all. In fact, they just butted in and made everything worse. Next, think about, did they apologize afterwards? Did they actually realize that they made a mistake and then back off? Or do they still believe that they were right to intervene? Do they push and try to get things their way because they think that, that is the only way? And lastly, would they do it again? Is this belief that they actually did the right thing so ingrained in their being that they just don't understand that they actually made things worse? Do they deflect and blame others for getting in the way? And this exercise can be so powerful if you actually look at what happens when they don't immediately register that what they did was wrong, and they don't apologize and they don't try to make it right. I think we often have this inclination to immediately smooth out our characters' mistakes rather than kind of letting them sit in them. But with this exercise, I want you to specifically let yourself look at what it feels like to just allow your character to dig themselves in deeper and deeper. Okay, we have arrived to the last exercise, which is also coincidentally my favorite exercise, and it is called their shadow self. Right, so the prompt is, write a short monologue from the version of themselves who never heals. The version who leans into their flaw and lets it win. They never learn their lesson and they never change. They let their stubbornness and their false beliefs lead them. So what does this version of them become? Who do they hurt in the process? How do they feel about themselves if they actually go through the full journey that you have planned for them, but they never change, they never see reason, and they never learn from their mistakes? So I actually applied this particular exercise to my protagonist, Liv, in Statue of a Woman, which I hope is going to be my debut novel. So I did this once I reached the last chapter of my book, just because I didn't quite feel like the ending that I had planned for her was as impactful as it could have been. So I asked myself, what if she doesn't overcome her illusions until it's too late? So I typed out that darker version of the ending just to kind of play with it and see what happens. And I wasn't actually thinking that I would commit to it because I still kind of wanted my happy end. But then once the words were down on the page, I just knew that, this was it. This was the end. This was the shape that she needed. And this was the best way to actually make an impact with the ending. So all that to say, proceed with caution if you do this exercise, because you might actually fall in love with the result. Okay, it is time for me to tell you what that crucial layer that all of these exercises are exploring is. Did you guess it already? You might have, because I talk about it so much. And again, just a reminder, if you did guess it, drop a carrot emoji in the comments. It's your character's misbelief. I know, shocker. Now, if you don't know what a misbelief is, it's basically a false belief that your character has at the beginning of a book that they will typically resolve by the end of it. And this is the basis of your internal conflict. So this is usually something that I like to call an intrapersonal belief. What does that mean exactly? It means it's in your character's head and it's egocentric. It's a thought about how the world perceives them, or how they perceive the world, or how they perceive themselves. And just to give you a couple of examples, it's usually in the form of a thought such as, if I can be successful, I will be worthy of my parents' love. Or I can't think for myself and I always need to rely on other people to make decisions. Or it could be, love always comes with strings attached. So are you already seeing a pattern for your character? Or do you already know what their misbelief is? If you do, drop it down in the comments below. I always love to see me some good misbeliefs. So if you want more exercises like these and a space to actually do them, they are all built into my Chaos Curated Notion template. There's even a whole deep character guide to walk you through it. Link is below if you want to check this out. If this helped you, let me know in the comments which exercise helped you crack your character open. But until next time, trust your heart and the words will come.